What's up, people? This is Rob, and these are the results from our weekly online tournament. This was the game we played on November 17th and 18th. And once again, for all you guys watching out there, you can play these hands every single week if you just sign up before 5 p.m. on Thursdays. If you don't sign up and you get in a little late, I can usually get you into the tournament. It's not a big deal, but if it's way past the time, I only have two extra accounts to use. So I will gladly lend you those accounts to play. But if you can try to get it in before 5 p.m. on Thursday, that will get you a secured seat in that tournament. I'm trying to work out a way to make the sign in much easier in the future, and that's on the horizon, I promise. But until then, this is the way that it's working. So if you get it in before 5 p.m. on Thursdays, there's your guarantee to play in the tournament each week. So let's jump into the hands from this past Friday and Saturday. So I'll start by saying that if you want to see how to play most of these hands, you should not look at my results this week. This was a bad week for me, lessons learned. So let's jump into board number one, which saw a couple of different auctions. We start with two passes, and we open one club with the south hand. And the player to our left overcalls one heart. Our partner passes, and right hand opponent bids two clubs. Now, two clubs is just a cubit. It says I have support for hearts, and I have 10 or more points usually. There are a number of things you can do here, but one thing you can't do is bid two spades. There were a lot of you bidding two spades in this situation, which is a reverse, which actually is going to show a much stronger hand here. So you can pass, nothing wrong with that. You can also double just to say you have good clubs. And that's essentially what the robot's going to take this as. It just shows rebiddable clubs, meaning, not a necessarily six, but at least a real suit, like a 5-card suit, and good cards in that suit. We have ace, queen, fifth. We just want to get in there because partner has some hands, like the hand they're looking at, that they can't really make a legitimate call right away. So we want to just tell them a little bit more about our hand and see what happens. And as it turns out, it goes pass, pass, and East balances with two spades. And here's where I passed and West bid three hearts, and they played in three hearts. If you do choose to pass over two clubs, you will see that left-hand opponent now bids two hearts, and then it goes pass, pass back to you. Now, you would love to have maybe a better hand than this, but you can still reopen with a double like we see Raluca and also Shane Blanchard doing on this hand. Reopening with double just says, hey, partner, I want you to bid a suit. It seems like if they're willing to sell out for two hearts, it may still be our hand, or at least we can push them up to an appropriate level to maybe beat the contract. And if we went this route, we actually got to play the best contract, which was three diamonds. And you can see three players went this exact route: Raluca, Shane, and Mikey Berkowitz. And the vast majority just passed both times. Now, passing both times will get you to a normal contract. We'll just let them play two hearts. But getting in there and making one more descriptive bid is going to result in either getting to play the contract in a good spot or getting the opponents up to the 3 level. So don't forget, there are free opportunities to pass along information that can make a difference in what we achieve on certain boards. So double here makes a lot of sense. It's another free spot where we can just say, hey, they're bidding my suit. I have a real suit, and I have good cards in that suit. Do with that what you will. And as it turns out, partner does nothing with it, but the opponents decide to have a different auction that gets them to the 3 level. And if you defend like a good player, not like me, you will beat 3 hearts. So if you get them to the 3 heart level, you're probably going to beat it 1, or if you're John Hurd, you actually beat it 2 tricks for 91.9%. But if you let them play 2 hearts, you still get around an average. And that's because some people, including myself, let them make way too many tricks on this hand. So I want to show you a really funny position that myself and Joe Grew found ourselves in at trick 11. This is the robot squeezing us. And this is the same 3-card ending that I saw at my table. And it is always, rough to get squeezed. But when you're getting squeezed by the robot, it seems extra insulting. The robot just, at this point, has a perfectly legitimate squeeze. And let me explain what happens here. West is on lead with a good heart. We're playing in hearts. There's no trump left, so they're playing their last trump. And they're going to play their last trump because we are simultaneously guarding clubs, meaning if we throw away the queen of clubs, the 10 of clubs is going to be good. And we're also guarding spades, meaning if we throw away a spade and they take the queen, the 8 will be good. And the robot clearly knows this. And when they lead the 5 of hearts, we cannot make the right choice. Joe threw away a club, which now sets up the 10 of clubs, which they cash, and now they take the queen of spades. Forward over to my table, and when they lead a heart, I pitch a spade. And now, instead of cashing the 10 of clubs, they know it's not good now. They lead a spade, they win the queen, and now the 8 is their final trick for making 3 in our faces. That was kind of rough, but it's funny. The robot sometimes can make brilliant plays as declare and as defender, obviously. But as declare, sometimes they just come up with a brilliant play at the end. Now, I did quite a few things to get to that point. I could have beaten this hand a number of different ways, but I'm one of the ones that let them make 3. So shame on me. Board 2 should have seen us all in 4 spades. And I want to take a look at the auction because there were a lot of you that bailed out at 3 spades. And let's look at what we saw here. We opened 1 spade. Our partner bid 1 no trump forcing. And we bid 2 spades. That happened at every table, so that was pretty normal everywhere. And now partner invites by bidding 3 spades. Now when partner invites to game, we should always be reevaluating our hand. And our hand is quite good when we do find a spade fit. We have an excellent trump suit and we have lots of shape. So if we're going to do an accounting of our hand at this point, you'd have to say you're a maximum, right? You have what would equate to at least 14, but with this nice 6 card spade suit, it's more like a 15 count. So just bid 4 spades when partner bids 3 spades, and you'll be rewarded if you play the hand in a certain way. But before we take a look at the best line of play, I want to point something out to all you guys that are playing in the tournament each week or any online tournament on Bridge Base. There's a nice feature that will show you the result based on certain leads. And what I mean is when I press this button here, this is GIB, this is the robot. And what this does is it analyzes the whole hand and it tells you if you defend perfectly based on the idea that we can see all these cards, which obviously we can't in real life, but on perfect defense with these cards, these leads will produce down 1 and these leads will produce making. And you can see this is a very good picture. I should print this out for all my students. This shows you why you never lead away from an ace because it's the only lead that actually lets them make the contract legitimately from the start. I'm going to show you my line of play, and then I'm going to show you the brilliance of Joe Grew, who made 5 on this hand. And it's really, when you look at the results and you went down 1 and someone made 5, that is just almost as bad as getting squeezed by the robot. So it's been a rough week for yours truly in the online tournament. But you can see I saw a spade lead. They let a spade on this hand, and the choices here are: do you try to lead a club toward the king, which frequently will get ducked, so you might be able to score a trick right away. But if it doesn't get ducked, you'll at least get 1 pitch on the king of clubs. So I chose to actually try to set up hearts. And this is a line of play that only works if the opponents don't cash their tricks, which unfortunately, when I do play a heart, I just take a finesse and it loses. And now if they don't cash all their winners, I planned to draw trump and take another heart finesse, and hopefully everything works out where I get to take all these tricks and pitch away my losers. However, you can see at any table that tried this line, which there were a number of people that I shared this line with, you're just going to go down because they just take 3 more tricks. If we take a look at Joe Grew here, we see that he also gets a spade lead, which he wins with the jack. And now he leads a club to the king, and it holds. So now he draws trump, and he sees on this round right-hand opponent pitch a heart. So he actually plays another round of trump, and he's just trying to figure out what's going on here, getting more information every time he plays a card. And he sees West pitch a heart now. So now he knows there are a total of 3 hearts left in the opponent's hands. So he plays a low heart, and West plays the king. It might look weird for him to duck this, but think of what Joe knows at this point. He knows there are 3 total hearts left out there. So when he plays low, if West has all 3 hearts and he wins the ace, he plays another heart and he can set up those hearts, but he'll never get back to the dummy. So he's guarding against West having all those cards. So when he sees the king, he plays low from dummy, because now if West did start with king, queen, small, he gets to eventually win a trick in his hand, and now he's taking a marked finesse against that card for the rest of those hearts. So it was a really well played hand for Joe, and he gets rewarded here because at this moment, even when they take that king of hearts, they try to cash the ace of clubs, which now gives Joe an extra trick because they don't get one of their diamonds. He gets to pitch 3 of his diamonds on those 3 hearts. And there is world champion Joe Grew making 5. Lots of others were in 4 spades making 4. And these are the ones that accepted that invitation and let a club toward dummy a trick too. Again, this is not a makeable hand, but the line that involves leading a club towards dummy will produce a pretty good result if you make that play. Board 3 saw differing results based on the opening bid. If you look at all of the results on this board, and I'll flash over here, all of the people that made 5 had one thing in common. They all opened 1 no trump with this hand. And you can see it's all the pros opening 1 no trump with this hand. And it's not because we're changing the range, it's because this hand is actually worth 15 points. You have a very good 14, ace king, and a good 5-card suit. This is a hand where it's okay to stretch and open 1 no trump. Now in these tournaments, the pros are kind of facing off against each other too. This is a very prideful tournament for them too. They want to win, and I have my own leaderboard for them, so just so you know, they're competing as well. So sometimes you might see some off shape no trumps or some light ones, but this is one that is actually pretty standard, and it would be okay for anybody to open this 1 no trump, because even look at your worst suit. You have 10-9 third, right? You have some good intermediate cards all over your hand, so it's okay to upgrade. And if you do on this hand, you'll get to play spades from your side of the table, and you'll dodge an important lead, a club lead. They don't lead a club from the West player's hand. It's so easy to do it from East, obviously, with ace, king, queen, but West doesn't have a normal club lead, so they lead the jack of hearts, and here's the moment you have to take advantage of this. A lot of you just draw trump and end up losing a couple clubs, and okay, we'll try to make 3. But in these spots, it's very important to recognize that we can take advantage of a bad lead, because we get to get rid of these 2 clubs in dummy. And the way we do that is we play a spade and we fully intend to play the ace. Now I play the queen here because this is the robot rule, right? When we're taking a finesse, always play the honor, because they're going to cover pretty frequently, even sometimes when it's wrong. But when we play the queen, obviously the robot is smart enough to play low, and I still play my ace because it's so important that I do this first. Play my hearts and pitch my clubs, and now I can continue drawing trump. I should know that it's possible I lose a spade trick on this hand. So before I give my opponents a chance to win that trick, I want to get rid of my losers first. Now, for those of you that played it from the north side, which was in fact, it was all the rest of the field, you get the ace of clubs lead, or the king of clubs lead here. And you don't get the opportunity to pitch away your losers, and this is nothing you did wrong. It just so happens that on this particular deal, you played it from the wrong side. It doesn't mean it's the wrong side to play it from. It just means the way the cards were distributed, playing it from the other side was much, much better. It could have been just the opposite. In fact, that's happened quite a few times as well in the tournament, where the pros maybe opened a good 14-point no trump and just get hammered with a bad result. So this is just the luck of this game sometimes. Playing from the other side of the table produces a much more favorable defense. Board 4 came down to one thing. Did you open the bidding or not? If you opened the bidding, you got to play three diamonds, and with a comedy of errors defensively, you can make four diamonds on this hand. So we'll get to the play in a second, but the question is, do we open this hand or not? And the answer, just in a basic way, comes in a rule. It's called the rule of 15. When we are in fourth seat, which means the auction went exactly like it did here, pass, 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 and it's our turn. So if we pass, the auction's over, we pass it out. The rule of 15 says this: if you add together your high card points, which on this hand is 11, and you add to that your number of spades, which is 4 on this hand, if it comes to the number 15 or above, you can open. And if it doesn't, you should pass. And on this hand, if you just blindly use that rule, you'll open one diamond, and partner will raise to three diamonds, which is an inverted minor suit raise. If we mouse over this, we'll see it's weak with diamonds, which is fine for us. You're just going to pass, and you're going to play three diamonds. And then the insanity ensues. They lead a spade. And some of you played the ace of spades on this hand when they let a low spade. It's usually going to be better to just play low from the dummy because you have the same cards on both sides of the table. There's no pressing need to be in the dummy at this point. And also, you want to see them have to play a card. If West is leading from honor 10, like Queen 10 fourth or something, you're going to see the Jack, but you're at least going to see the 10 or even the Queen here. So give them a chance to play that card. As it turns out, obviously, when you play the ace, you're going to see the 10 anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, but just in the long run, it's better to play low from dummy. And if you do that, you lead a low diamond towards dummy, and for some reason, West hops up with the king of diamonds. And I have made this play before. In fact, there's a pro in Florida during a national event where I made this play, where I hopped up with the king for some insane reason, and partner just, you know, begrudgingly put the ace of diamonds on the table. So they crash these honors together, and now you're just destined to make a lot of tricks in this particular contract. So if you use the rule of 15 and you open one diamond, you got to play three diamonds. And if you took this line, you made a lot of tricks in diamonds. If you passed, you were below average here because you're probably supposed to be opening this hand. And sometimes you can roll the dice, and to be honest, if you pass, sometimes it's going to be the best result because if we're going minus like we are on some of these hands here, we're clearly not doing as well as if we pass the board out. Board 5 came down to two different bids. You're looking at my auction here, and this is the bid that I prefer, and I would always prefer it on hands like this where partner opens a minor and you're balanced, but you also have a minor suit fit. Here, I don't have a huge hand. I have a little extra, but I would equate this as a good 15. Show this in two different ways. I can make an inverted minor suit raise, and then very likely get to 3 no trump. There are times where I might get to play slam in this minor suit, but that can also be navigated after a 3 no trump bid as well by partner. The 3 no trump bid just says you have 13 to 15 balanced, and you do not have a 4 card major. And that's exactly what we're looking at here. We have a good hand. We know diamonds is going to be a source of tricks for us in no trump, and we want to release as little information as possible to the opponents. And those of you that did bid 2 diamonds, which is the inverted minor shoot raise, it's what the robot plays. You can see it shows 10 plus points and a diamond fit. Not wrong at all, but it allows the opponents to hear at least 2 more bids before we arrive at the most likely contract, which is 3 no trump here. When we bid it directly, we at least keep the opponent somewhat more in the dark. And the play here, you can look at it there. You were either going to make 4 or 3. Those of you that played it from the north hand, likely to make 4 because the opponents get off to a different lead from that side of the table. So whether you played it from north or south, you probably played 3 no trump, making 3 or 4 for a good result. So on board 2, we saw the brilliance of Joe Grew. On board 6, we get to see in a moment the brilliance of John Hurd. At every table, East opened 2 hearts. And the question is, what do we bid with the south hand? Almost all of us bid 2 spades directly. Some of us decided to double and then bid spades, but Unheard found a very unique way to get to four spades on this hand. And he did it by finding a very simple bid to make to express his hand. And it was three spades over two hearts. Now I want you to think about that. A lot of you might be saying, "What isn't that preemptive?" And it is not preemptive. Remember, when the opponents are preempting, they're trying to do that to us, right? So we don't need to have preemptive bids in defense of those bids, right? They're preempting us. It's our hand. So our jumps over preempts are stronger than just normal overcalls. And this is kind of pinpointing the values in this hand. It's showing extra values in a good six card spade suit or longer. And partner will raise to four spades. And you can make four on this hand by making sure you get a diamond rough in the dummy. And if you want to see how you make four, just take a look at all these people making four right here and you'll see a good line of play to do that. Board 7 saw a pretty quick auction for us. South opens one spade, that's our hand, and it goes pass, pass, and right hand opponent bids two clubs. Now you have a couple of choices with this hand, but let me just let you know what you're saying here usually. When partner passes our opening bid, we know they're just flat broke over there. So any bid from our side should either be extra shape or extra values, especially bids like double here. Double would be like 18-19. Right, we're showing a very big hand because we're forcing our partner to bid. The bid of two spades shows certainly an extra spade and probably some extra values here. But bidding based on the idea that partner could have 0 points. They certainly don't have more than 5, but they could have nothing. So two spades or two hearts will get you to the right spot, which is just playing two spades. If you bid two hearts, partner takes a preference to two spades, and you just play it there. If you play it very well, you can make four, like Joe Grew did here. Or if you play it like I do, you just make two for a very terrible result. So if you want to see how these guys played it, just take a look at these results here, and you'll see a very good line of play for making four on this particular hand. Board 8 saw the robot once again get in there with a jury bid. We started the auction after 3 passes with 1 spade, and it went past 2 clubs. And remember, guys, when you see that red box over the bid that the robot makes, it means they're making an alertable bid. So you can mouse over it, you can see it's jury, it's 3 or more spades, and it says 10 to 12 points. Usually like around a good 9 to 11 is a reasonable range for jury here. This is the moment we reevaluate our hand again. Don't forget to do that, guys. When you discover a fit, especially when partner's making an invitational bid, which is exactly what jury is. It's an invitational bid with spades. We want to make sure we count all of our points. And if we add up all the points on this hand, we absolutely have enough to accept this invitation. And we bid 4 spades. Those of you that let the opponents play 4 hearts did not bid enough, because even though I went down in 4 spades is a makeable contract. And to see how we make it, we have to switch away from my table because I went down 1. And we have to look at how John Hurd played the contract. The opening lead was a heart, which was beneficial to us. And the reason why is this is a situation that's going to pop up again and again and again. We're going to have one side of the table be short in trumps and short in a side suit. On this hand, it's an extreme version of it, but we have only 3 spades in the north hand, and we're void in hearts. So the sooner we can take advantage of that situation, the better. And some of you might have thought at this point, hey, why do I need to trump anything in dummy? I can throw everything away on all those good clubs that'll eventually be over there. The problem is you have 2 trump losers. So if you try to draw trump, they're going to win their 2 tricks. They're going to cash their hearts before you ever touch clubs. So this is not the right way to go about it. Here we have to get rid of our hearts first because we know we have trump losers. So in order to do that, we have to get back to our hand. The quickest way we can do that is with a club. There's a lot of risk in this play because we have so many clubs. But if we're getting a 2-1 break on this hand, we're going to be able to transport safely, and we can see that we were able to do that. We're going to trump our second heart and dummy. And then we're going to pitch the 3rd heart on the king of diamonds. So boom, that's done. Now we get to the business of drawing trump. And that's what this is all about, guys. We're eventually going to draw trump. But before we do that, when we have a short trump suit in one hand and in that same hand have a short side suit, it's almost always better to get rid of your losers by ruffing first, and then you draw trump from the long hand, which is what we're about to see. John played a spade to the queen here, and it lost to the king. The opponent returned a club, which we won, and we get to the business of continuing to draw trump. They let you win a trick here, which you throw away a loser on, and now you just force them to ruff by leading a club. And then when you get back in, you simply draw trump with the 10 of spades, and boom, you made 4. So if you were able to do that correctly, which a few of you did, you were going to be in 4 spades making 4. For those of you that were in 4 spades down 1, welcome to the club. I wish I could say I played that hand as brilliantly as we just saw John do, but I was not up to the task either. So the 4 heart players got good scores because you beat 4 hearts. But again, you're missing out on those times where the field is just making 4 spades. And if you give a normal distribution of that spade suit and the same general line of play, you're probably going to see a lot more people making 4 spades than you did on this hand. So thanks a lot for playing again this week, guys. This is Thanksgiving week coming up, so I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the time with your family and, most importantly, your food. And for me, food and football all day. But we'll still be running the tournament. So after your turkey hangover on Friday or Saturday, jump in, give it a shot, and have some fun. And you'll see another video for the results from that tournament next week. So happy holidays, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.